the indicator that you're growing is that your appetite has increased.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I've thought in my business, I'm stagnant. I'm not growing. I'm not going to the place I want to go. But an indicator that tells me whether I feel it or not, dude, feel isn't real. Feel isn't real in business sometimes. You can feel like you're not growing, but you are. The indicator, the evidence that growth is a reality is that hunger is present. All right, welcome back to The Drive. Craig Harvey here, riding obviously the driver's seat, but shotgun today by popular demand is my boy, my friend, the mayor, the franchise, Dusty Todd. My brother, how are you?
Thanks for having me, buddy. Good to be back.
Man, I'm glad you're here. You're always welcome. You know this. We're talking growth today. We're talking about something that everybody wants. I don't think everybody is willing to put in the work to obtain. I was talking to you off camera about my son, Caden, and how years ago when he would have bad fevers, we would give him Tylenol, not rapid release. It was called extended release. Dusty, you had to read the box in the back. It said extended release. So you would give the medicine. Initially, it didn't look like the medicine was working, but it was. It was working internally. It was working in ways that visually you didn't see in the moment. But over time, guess what? That fever broke. And it absolutely healed a situation that needed remedying. And so I think a lot of us need that remedy in our businesses. And we're doing things, dude, we're implementing medication. We're doing from an education, from a vocabulary, from a study standpoint, but it's not happening as fast as we want it. And we don't think it's working. We think, oh my God, maybe I should switch businesses. Maybe I should stop Tylenol, switch to Advil. Maybe Advil doesn't work. I should switch to something. That's not, in all cases, the reality.
Sure.
Sometimes, I hate this. How bad do you hate the word patience? I can't stand the word patience, bro. You're not a patient man.
No, not at all. No.
But there's a systematic approach that you have not gotten here overnight. And as our viewing audience is tuning in, there is an element of applying what it is that we're talking about in the way of growth that happens, again, not while we're sleeping, not while we're incoherent, but it happens. It's like when you ever go to let's say a Thanksgiving event and you see a nephew or a niece and they have shot up in growth.
Yeah.
But then individuals, their family that are watching them every day are like, not really. Like, no, I haven't seen, little Linda. I haven't seen little Tommy in 12 months. I mean, this son of a gun is, Lord have mercy, growing like a weed. Why? Because oftentimes when you are so into the business, when you're so into what it is you're doing, you're not seeing the magnitude of what's happening internally, sometimes externally, because you're all over it. Speak to that.
Well, I think the number one question I get asked all the time, Craig, how can I grow bigger? How can I grow a bigger income? How can I grow bigger business, whatever it is? But when those people that really want to grow, when you really look at, what they're doing, if I follow them around last week, if I follow them around, last month, last quarter, would I see the indicators that they're actually growing? Probably not. I would probably just see maintenance. They're just maintaining what they currently have just to get by. Because talking about growth, I think there's indicators of growth. And I know you gave a talk a few months ago, and it really inspired me to really study this stuff. And because I do think that there are indicators of growth. And so, I gave a talk to our group a couple weeks ago, and it was talking about the growth indicators of the business, and I kind of related it to my son Tucker. He's 5 years old, and I remember every time that Tucker is about to grow, there's indicators that he's about to take off. His appetite increases. There's pattern shifts. He starts to outgrow things. And when I really started to dive in and look at that, I was like, crap, man, this is the same thing in this business. See, Tucker, he's 5 years old, Craig. And if we came back next year and he was the same size, the same maturity, the same strength, people would probably freak out. Dusty, what's wrong? What's going on with him, man? We need to get him checked out. You probably need to go to the doctor. He's not growing. But in business, people stay the same 3 years, 5 years, the same level, same patterns, nothing's changed, and we normalize it. You see the problem there, man?
Well, it's huge. And again, I think when you say we normalize it, when comparing yourself with others, in so doing, you're not wise. That's what that great book said. At least that's what my father said. It said, and I think that's the key, bro. We compare ourselves to what other people are doing, and then that is the ratio by which the grade we give ourselves comes from. And look, I will say the company that we built, North American Senior Benefits, every year we've grown 20% minimum 20%. You know how we did that? New blood. We found new hungry people. We found new individuals that were willing to embrace the system. We found new individuals that were willing to shed the old, embrace the new. Yeah. And I'm listening to your points here, and dude, I'm just excited because I kind of got an idea where you're going, and I want to hear it.
Well, I think you said something, new blood, new hungry blood. Because look, there's patterns of growth in children. Guess what? There's patterns of growth in business. And I remember Heather going to the doctor early on, and the doctor said, Heather, Tucker's about to hit a growth spurt. The biggest reason was because of increased appetite. That's which is point one. The same thing in business. Every time a kid's about to grow, guess what? He gets hungrier. In business, when I look at people, every time I've been on the grow, every time I look at people that are about to take off, they get hungry, just consumed with knowledge. Hungry people, they're looking for a reason to go to war. I got something to prove. I'm an underdog. And I think, speaking of that, people a lot of people say they're hungry, but when I look at what they're doing, they're skipping conference calls. Hungry people don't skip conference calls. Hungry people don't skip Zooms. Hungry people, they don't call out because they don't feel like not doing it. But the people, if you're on the grow, how hungry are you? Because when you're hungry enough, you'll do whatever it takes.
I think it's important that the indicator that you're growing is that your appetite has increased.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I've thought in my business, I'm stagnant. I'm not growing. I'm not going to the place I want to go. But an indicator that tells me whether I feel it or not, dude, feel isn't real. Feel isn't real in business sometimes. You can feel like you're not growing, but you are. The indicator, the evidence that growth is a reality is that hunger is present. Now, let me just speak to hunger real fast because I know a little bit about this. I grew up in a poor home, in a trailer, and I remember Aunt Bert used to come over, and she would make salmon patties. You ever had a salmon patty, Dusty?
I haven't, but I'd like to have one for old Aunt Bert.
Well,
think she can make me one?
Aunt Bert's in heaven now looking down on you. I'm sure she's looking down, not up. Okay, I pray. With that being said, that's all we had to eat.
Yeah.
Are you hungry? You gonna eat the salmon patty. Because there was no burger, there was no ham, there was no chicken, there was no turkey. If you're hungry, you eat what's put in front of you. I see so many people in our business that are picky. And everything has to be just perfect. Everything has to be just right. Everything has to be just ideal in order for them to engage, in order for them to believe, in order for them to go all in, when the reality is hungry people aren't picky. We're raising little Rocky not to be picky. Alex feeds him avocado toast. I was showing you, I think yesterday when you flew in, kale. Boy's eating kale. Right? I mean, he's eating shit. I was
impressed.
I don't even eat that.
Good job. I don't
eat that. But Alex is like, Craig, Rockford isn't going to be picky. Yeah. And I think a lot of people that claim and profess hunger, they manifest a sense of pickiness. In other words, I need to work in this community. Yeah. I need to work with this lead type. Everything has to be just right. And to me, and I know to you, there was a level of hunger when we got into this that wasn't a reflection or a depiction of being picky. It was what you put on the plate. We're going to make work. And I just think that separates, again, why you're a $3 million earner this year and why other people want that.
Well, I think hunger is a decision. It's not a situation. A lot of people, they say that they want it, but they're not willing to do what it takes to get it. And so I just think back to my business, dude. Like, when there was times where, crap, I thought I was hungry, but I was picky. I wasn't really hungry. But there was times when I was on the grow, buddy, I was hungry as ever. So I think, people, if they're going to be on the grow, Harvey, they're going to be hungry. That appetite is going to increase. So if you're out there, maybe you haven't seen the results yet, but you're hungrier than you've ever been, promise you, guess what? It's coming. It's going to happen, man. It's going to happen.
Well, optics of hunger to me are the books you're reading.
Yeah.
Not just the podcast you're listening to. I've talked to you often about the notes that I've made over the years of a filing system. Remember that from A to Z? When I have a talk on adversity or addiction or aggression, whatever it might be. Go to the B's. If I'm looking at boldness, if I'm looking at something about just being more than you are. If I go to the C's, when I go to character, when I go to controversy, when I go to content, boom, that subject matter is filed under what I've studied. Isn't it interesting that so many of us, it's not that a lot of people I don't think aren't reading. It's that we're not retaining. It's not that we're not listening. It's that we can't find what we've at one time heard. And so right over here, as you know, in my filing cabinet, I can find alphabetized whatever it was that I've learned from the likes of a Dusty Todd, from the likes of a Sean Mike, from the likes of a Chad Milner, from a Brian Adams, from a John Maxwell, whomever it might be, whatever leader, being able, again, it's one thing to want it, but then being able to access it, makes sense, and then apply it in the moment, that's huge. That's huge. I love your second point on this, not to rush you, but just because I'm so excited about this because, dude, this second point was a catalyst in my career. I'm not going to steal your thunder.
Well, I think you look back growing. Yeah, obviously hungry is important. How hungry are you? You want to grow? How hungry are you really going to be? Are you as hungry as you say that you are? But somebody that's going to grow, pattern shifts. They're going to have to be shifts in pattern. And we have a little Bella. She's 11 months old. She'll be 1 next week. She'll be about to be turned 1. And Heather, look, Alex has done a phenomenal job of keeping Rocky on the food schedule, not being picky, right? Well, guess what? Heather she has definitely made sure that Bella is on a schedule. That girl, she goes to bed at 7:30. She's up at 7:30 every day. It's like clockwork, right? Well, every time that Bella is about to hit a growth spurt, she just hit one about a month ago. And guess what? Our sleep patterns would shift. There will be a change of her patterns. And I relate that back to this business. I look at these agents. Every time somebody's about to be on the grow, or I think back to me, every time I was about to be on the grow, there was changes in my patterns of this business, whether it be schedule, whether it be priorities, whether it be goals. That would change. I think, sleep is your inactivity in this business. When you're on the grow, dude, you're going to have to invest more time. You have to get up earlier. You have to stay out later. You have to do more. But that's an indicator that you're on the grow, man. Your patterns will have to shift.
We all have that season in our life where we're looking forward to a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking forward to a golf trip, or we're looking forward to an event in your business that you feel like can be just monumental. And dude, think about it. Like you wake up before the alarm goes off.
Yeah.
Why? Because like you just said, you're
excited.
You're excited, but again, your sleep patterns shift, and you're pumped about it. There's just something internally inside you that's like, dude, I am ready for this more than just a normal day. And so we talk time, and I was sharing with you off camera where the great Arnold Schwarzenegger said, for those of you that need more sleep, sleep faster. Sleep faster, however he says that. And look, I agree with the adage, if there's 24 hours in a day, sleep 8, play 8, work 8. All right, that may work for some sons of bitches, but it didn't work for me. It didn't work for you. Balance is bullshit. There has to be an overindulgence or commitment to the system, to the pattern, where there's lack. There's got to be an overinvestment on your part of study, of preparation, of due diligence, of making sure that in that moment you're hyper ready for when that curtain rises, when those lights come up, and you're prepared in that moment. I would just say the one thing that equates us all, none of us are the same height. You know this, Shorty. None of us have the same beard. By the way, you have a great beard. Great beard. I can't grow.
You do not.
Shut up. I can't grow. None of us came from the same socioeconomic standpoint. Our parents, positioning us from a wealth standpoint? No. But you know what we all have, Dusty? The same amount of time. 24 hours, baby. 24 hours. The janitor and the CEO both have 24 hours. Whomever you are, you have 24 golden hours to be able to create the desired tomorrow. People always talk about tomorrow. My tomorrow started last night. My tomorrow started last night. I'm not getting ready tomorrow. My tomorrow started last night. I was preparing before I went to bed for what it was I was going to do today. And when you talk about time, when you talk about where we invest our time, I've always said time is going to promote you or time is going to expose you. It's going to promote you based on what you did to prepare for the opportunity you have, or it's going to expose you because you weren't ready for the moment when it was presented to you. Does that make sense?
1,000%, man. And I think you're going to have to make some changes. You're going to have to invest more time in order to get more. You're going to have to put more sleepless nights in there. You up early, out late, whatever it may be. That's a sign that you're on the grow. I think another pattern shift is mood swings. I think in children, like Bella especially, she's been on the grow here lately. She's hit a growth spurt. She's frustrated, Craig. She's mad at everything. You can't make her happy. Well, I think back to my business. Every time I'm on the grow, I've always been frustrated. I'm upset. I'm pissed off. I wanted it done yesterday. It hadn't happened fast enough as we all want it to. And so I think that's normal. I know when agents come to me, they come to me all the time, and they're frustrated. They're upset. I get excited. They're mad. They're upset. I get excited. You know why? Because I know that they're about to have a huge spurt, because that's an indicator of growth. Talk about that, man. Talk about the frustration that happens, right before you're about to pop.
I just think, he or she who cares the most, who it matters to more, find themselves in a place that they're double checking every box. They're making super certain that things are as they need to be in any capacity, in any scenario.
Yeah.
And again, to he or her who cares the least, they wind up earning the least.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to them as much. So frustration for me was when I put so much heart and time and effort and energy into a convention, into a meeting, into a roadshow, into an event, that I wanted every chair to be right. I wanted the floor to be swept. I wanted the music to be just perfect when they walked in. The attention to detail was so. We talk about Mr. Bet David, PBD, and Patrick talked about the ability of someone to be paranoid, and how paranoia won't destroy you. According to Mr. Bet David, and I agree with him, paranoia keeps you sharp. Paranoia keeps you looking over your shoulder for what could be. It keeps you in a position and in a mentality that just forces you to make sure that everything is as right as you possibly can make it within your control.
Yeah.
And it just keeps you sharp. And so I know I've lived a paranoid life trying to make sure that every event we've ever had went as quality as it possibly could.
Well, I think just the question you got to ask people that are listening in, have your patterns shifted? Are you still doing the same thing? Has anything changed? And if it has, you're probably on the grow. That's point 2. Let's move to point 3 real quick, man. So I think the third point indicator that you're growing, or you're potentially about to hit a growth spurt, is you outgrow things. And children, little Rocky, those golden gooses you bought him last year, they probably don't fit anymore. If they did, hey, you probably bought a bigger size, right? Or we have a problem, right?
That's right.
Look, if your kids are outgrowing their clothes, that's normal. That's natural. And I think in business, Craig, if you're outgrowing stuff, it's probably a sign that you're on the grow. Old relationships, old habits, old disciplines, whatever it may be. If you're outgrowing these things, it may be hard right now, but guess what? Understand that's okay, because that means that you're growing and big things are coming. Talk about outgrowing stuff.
Dude, if you're the smartest person in your group, you need a new group. It's that's facts. When we started North American Senior Benefits, Dusty, I had a friend group that, unfortunately, the trajectory of where I was wanting to go didn't align with everyone in that friend group. Not that I was better, not that I wanted to be bigger, not that anything. It's just my vision of where I wanted to be didn't align. And I was reading more books. I was attending more classes. I was going to more of when I say seminars or growth-based just meetings that I felt would stretch me. Does that make sense? And to me, it's the power of association. Dude, but real quick, let me finish that thought. When I say the power of association, you're a great golfer. When you play great golf or when you play with great golfers, inevitably you play better.
Makes you better.
Makes you better than playing with guys that are shooting 100, 110. You know, it just nothing wrong with that, but that's just that's a different season. That's a different system. That's a different just ability level that like attracts like. And so for us in the days of our hyper growth, association mattered. And so I tried to position myself with guys that I knew had the same ideology. We weren't at the same place in reality, but guess what? Our vision was aligned. Our destination was aligned. Mm-hmm. And then all that kind of separated that was what we put in together to get there.
Well, I think eventually when people want to grow, when they have that increased appetite, when their patterns shift, they end up outgrowing average. They outgrow inconsistency. They outgrow that old, what they thought used to be the normal. They just outgrow that thing. Right. Their things. I mean, one tip I've got for people listening in is, look, if your friend group hasn't changed over the last couple of years, it's probably a sign that you're probably not on the grow. I don't mean to be mean, Craig, or anything, but it's just the truth. It's just reality. Who you're associating with. I think association is 80% of our business that we do, but it's a lot of things in life, because if you're learning from people that have more than you, naturally you're gonna pick up things that they're doing. They're gonna teach you how to get more. Another thing, how many books have you read? That's another big tip. How many books have you read? If the number of books that you've read hasn't increased, it's probably a sign that you're not on the grow. I mean, these small little things that we just take for granted every day, yeah, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you truly want to grow, you're going to learn to outgrow these things. And the people that do, I look at the patterns, they just explode in their business. Man, I was reflecting, a couple days ago, Harvey, and I look at seasons. I think growth does have seasons. I think it comes in patterns. There's indicators, but I also think there's growing seasons in business, especially our business. And I look back and I reflect. Every time that I was about to be on a grow, or every time that somebody in my organization has just exploded, it was the same exact patterns, the same exact indicators that happened. And when I grew, when Blythe grew, when Austin grew, when Dylan grew, all these guys are partners now. They grew over 300-400% in a year. They become obsessed with the business. They were hungry as I've ever seen, willing to do whatever it takes. And I think there's patterns to that, dude. And so people that they say they want to grow, but when you really look at what they're doing daily to get better, what they're doing just, weekly to build their business or to move to a place that they're not at, the effort's not there.
For the sake of time, I want to, when you look at association, you got to look at your phone. You've got to look at the favorites in your phone. And, I've got my wife first. I've got Caden second, Eden. Okay, Caden's 20. I've got my neighbor, Daniel, multimillionaire. I've got Teresa, who's an assistant to us and does a phenomenal job. I've got Evan Proach, Jordan Smith, Dusty Todd. Dusty, you made it. Congratulations. My ex-wife, Lene, she made millions because of our marriage. I've got Elizabeth, who, by the way, Elizabeth is my sister-in-law. She'll make $500,000 this year. Blair Ollendorf, who made $1.8 million this year. My point is, a lot of times when we talk association, who am I talking to the most? The favorites in my phone. And minus my son, my daughter, and my assistant, every person that I just listed is a millionaire. Now, is a millionaire everything in life? No. Money doesn't make you everything, but it does give you the options. And I think in anything, growth is what creates life. Growth is what creates excitement. Growth is what creates energy. Growth is what gives you the ability to wake up in the morning, regardless if it's raining or if it's sunny, and say, you know what, I'm going to attack today, and I'm going to make it the best I possibly can, because I don't know if I have tomorrow. And to me, that's been a source of life, and it's been a source of just something that I continue to strive for and reach for. And listening to your talk, brother, it's been strong. Last thoughts on this subject as you have crushed this, Dusty Todd, the mayor, here on The Drive.
Yeah, man. Well, I just know, Craig, I know there's somebody that's listening in right now that, listen, the pump is prime. They're going to take the next half of the year, the next 12 months, and they're going to do big things. But on the flip side, there's also people listening in that they're going to hear the points we're talking about. They're going to say that I'm hungry. They're going to say I'm having shifts in pattern. They're going to say that, I'm outgrowing things, but they're really not. They're not making any type of changes. They're still doing the same thing they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they're in their same position. And they're going to look back at whatever opportunity that they're in, whether it's insurance, whether it's real estate, whatever, sales, business, whatever. And they're going to look back and they're going to take it for granted and they're going to wish they had them. And I just know there's somebody in here right now. I'm just telling you, the opportunity, whatever career you're doing, if you get hungry, if you have an increase in appetite, if you'll have some shifts in your pattern, if you'll change some things with your patterns and you'll outgrow some things, big things can happen, man.
Dusty Todd on The Drive. What are you going to do? I like that.
I like that. I think it got better and better as
Yeah.
this went on. That was really strong at the end.
Bro, it rose. It rose.
Yeah.
But between